So, according to an anonymous Eastern Conference executive who spoke to Sean Deveney of Heavy.com, this is allegedly from Jack Simone of Heavy.com, the Charlotte Hornets are looking to potentially move their best shooter from last year. I made a video about this. Kelly Oubre had a career year shooting from three, and just shooting in general was a very efficient shooter for them last year, and they're looking to potentially trade him. And supposedly, Jack Simone says that the Chicago Bulls are somebody that could be potentially interested in Kelly Oubre. And I think Kelly Oubre is an underrated 3-and-D guy. He's a guy who's capable of being a plus defender, and he has scoring ability. I think he's more of a fourth option. I wouldn't really want him as my third option, but I think he's a really good fourth option, scoring option for a team. And I want to hear your thoughts down below. What is your opinion on Kelly Oubre? 6% of you guys are subscribed, so freaking subscribe because we're on the way to 10,000 subscribers. But I want you guys to understand this. An average defensive rating is 109. Kelly Oubre for his career is about 110, 110.9, almost 111. But he's had 3 seasons where he was a plus defender. In his first 3 years with Washington, he was basically a plus defender. And then with Phoenix and Golden State, he was a somewhat plus defender. His worst defensive year was in 2018 and this past season, but that was more because of the defensive scheme around him. I actually think Kelly Oubre is a very capable defender. And Kelly Oubre is a guy who last year, attempted 7.3 threes while shooting 34.5%, okay? Which was, the second highest percentage, but he was hitting the most amount of threes. And then if you go into minuscule details, our man Kelly Oubre was actually a fantastic three-point shooter in catch-and-shoot scenarios. Now, look, Golden State, at one point, it's crazy to think that Kelly Oubre was a really good, I think Golden State would have liked to kept Kelly Oubre, but they had to understand that they had to move on. But with his 1 year, he shot, 31.6 from three and averaged 15.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.5, assists a night. But I doubt that Golden State would trade for him, even though Golden State would really like him, and I think Golden State's definitely a guy. But this is something that I think is interesting with the fact that a team like the Chicago Bulls could be interested in him. And you have to understand, Oubre is making about $12 million, 12.6. Same amount as Chris Boucher, Kelly Olynyk, Josh Hart, little less than Kyle Kuzma and Gary Harris and Pat Bev, more than Devontae Graham, Terrence Ross. And when you look at this, I think you need to go to teams that, the Portland Trailblazers, definitely be a team interested. I think do you think maybe the Dallas Mavericks would want to send Reggie Bullock or package Josh Green and Frank Ntilikina maybe and send over those two guys? Or even Dwight Powell and somebody else, maybe Dwight Powell and a pick for Kelly Oubre? Or would they want to package Kelly Oubre and Mason Plumlee, which would be $20 million, and maybe you can go out and get yourself Jonathan Isaac or a guy I don't know if they want Tim Hardaway Jr., but maybe an Eric Gordon. And then you look at the Bulls. Who could the Bulls offer them? I don't really know who the Bulls would offer them. I think that's definitely where it gets interesting. Because if I was the Bulls, Vooch is an expiring contract. Lonzo, unless they're trying to get Lonzo, I could see a world where they package Alex Caruso and maybe a young guy for Oubre. But I really think the best option for them would be Kobe White, Derek Jones, and maybe you throw in, because that's where the money gets a bit tricky. Because if you did Caruso and Derek Jones, you could probably do Caruso, Derek Jones for Oubre. That's straight up. But you'd only trade Caruso if Dalen Terry is impressing and Goran Dragic looks good and Lonzo Ball looks good. That's the only way they would trade Caruso. Now, I could see a world, I think in their best interest, again, the best deal would be Kobe White packaged with, you don't want to give up Dalen Terry though. Kobe White packaged with somebody else. And I don't know if that's Drummond with Derek Jones. I would do that if I was the Bulls. White, Drummond, and Jones for Oubre. Obviously, it's not the deal that the Hornets would want, but it's a deal that probably the Bulls would want. And I doubt the Warriors go out and get themselves Oubre, but that'd be a little nice story. Oubre leaves, Oubre comes back. He fits them perfectly. He would really just fill up that role that they needed to fix. And I'm someone who, because, you know, I go to the University of Kansas. I love me some Tsunami Poppy. And, I mean, my girlfriend's a big fan of Kelly Oubre, obviously. So let's see where he